Hi, welcome to Speakeasy. I'm Hayley.
And I'm Jenny.
And I'm so excited for what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, this is your current obsession.
It really is. And that's intros, speaker intros, walk on music, setting the tone. And I think that events are moving in this way where I mentioned this before, kind of experience economy. And I think content could do with a little bit of catching up, especially in the conference space. I think that there's lots of reasons to do it. The way that content looks on stage, providing a really good show for your audience, but also there's a practical side to it. From our way as a producer, how we can hide some of those transitions, whether it's with microphones or furniture, speakers on stage, off stage. I think there's a way that we can make it flow.
And less awkward than when you're having to go up on stage, catch 5 people to get the chairs and everyone's just looking at you, grabbing some chairs and taking them off the stage.
And I mean, I know it depends on how many production staff you have.
Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, I have definitely in like my nice conference dress or something. And I mean, I used to do it in heels as well, back when I used to wear heels on site. Sat there picking up a massive bucket chair and hauling it off stage. And there's always a little giggle and there's always a look at what was it? Like it's, there's a way to make that transition much easier and almost, smoke and mirrors. So
what inspired this current obsession that you've got with speaker intros?
So from live music, actually, I see that, lots of really big corporates when they do their big events, so they use a lot of multimedia. And so I'm thinking like the Amazons, Apple, for example, a lot of when they're doing their product launches every year, they use a lot of video content in between the main talks. But the main inspirations, so the first one is Sabrina Carpenter, because I'm obsessed with her. I mean, I am going to see her tomorrow. This is a hint of when we actually recorded this, but tomorrow at BST Hyde Park. I am so excited. And I mean, you saw her.
I've already seen her, so
I was so jealous when you went to see her because I watched the live stream of Primavera.
It was.
Oh my God. I mean, it was good, wasn't it?
It was really good. And actually, she did use a lot of videos and she used them before the songs as well, which actually now looking back, I wouldn't be looking at the stage because I was looking at the video that she was putting on. So sometimes all of a sudden I was like, oh, the stage changed. But I had been watching at the screen, so I had not realised.
Smoke and mirrors.
Smoke and mirrors.
Smoke and mirrors. And the other one, which is probably my favourite clip that I keep seeing at the moment, is from Glastonbury 2019. And it's Lewis Capaldi. And it's the video that he had as his intro to his set, which I think just perfectly sets the tone to who he is as an artist, because obviously all of his songs are really powerful.
They're very sad as well.
And emotional.
Yeah.
But him as a person is chaos and I love it. I mean, I recently watched his documentary on Netflix, especially because he's just made his kind of comeback into the industry and just been at Glasgow. But that intro video in 2019 where it's the clip of Noel Gallagher going, who's this Capaldi fella? And then it just goes into, here comes the money. And he just walks on with his swagger in his bucket hat and his parka. And I'm just like, that just sets that tone, because obviously when he's in between songs and he's just talking, he's himself and he is that just general
Glaswegian. Well, no, I don't think he's Glaswegian. Anyway, but he's Scottish, that kind of like humour, sense of humour and just being a funny guy.
I think he is Glasgow.
Or in between, I can't remember.
I think it's what was it? I think it's a village in between Glasgow and Edinburgh. I'm not about to admit that I definitely did look up where he's from. And like next time we go to Scotland, no, I'm not that much of a stalker. But I was curious where he was from, and especially watching the documentary because he's small town, like near Glasgow. And so really inspired kind of by the utilisation of media there. And I thought, well, how can we use that in conferences? And I did one recently, actually, an event that I worked at, and our keynote speaker was the King's Bodyguard.
Okay.
Who was such a cool speaker. But it was actually I believe it was his first ever time on stage speaking about himself, his career, and obviously a very high profile job. And whilst you can say, yes, he's the King's Bodyguard, but to make it that much more impressive, we wanted a 30-second video at the beginning to just show who he was, because he was in the news all the time. Like, he was covered, who's the King's Bodyguard? Is his arm a gun. Have you seen those?
No.
Like there would be things where like the reporters would like, they'd have video footage and like, why doesn't he move his hand? Why is his hand in this one position and it doesn't move the entire time as he's walking? And everyone's going, oh, all the securities have like fake arms as guns. Or the umbrellas as well. Like, what is it about these umbrellas that all of the security guards are like holding? Are they guns? Are they like bulletproof shields? And like all of these things and all of that speculation. And then also like just what was it, because his name's not out there publicly and all of this, so there was all this speculation. It was all over the news, so we created this amazing video of like, it was very newspaper inspired and just like loads of front pages and photos of him hitting and going, who is the king's bodyguard, who's this dashing man, and it was great. And then we set it to the James Bond theme music.
Nice.
Great. And then that was his walk on, so we did that video and then it hit to a still and it was the James Bond theme as he walked on, and then we go off and it was a fireside chat and it flowed so nicely, and it was a great way to set the tone for that session. And I just want to see that more now. I think it's a great way to add that production value. And as well, like if you've got a speaker, let's say that's maybe a leadership focused speaker or improving efficiency in your business, and when I say those kind of speakers rather than maybe an industry speaker or a minister, that can be a great way to set the tone for them and who they are as they come on stage. And then they don't need to spend like 2-3 minutes at the beginning going, hi, this is who I am and this is how I got into this. You could do that in 30 seconds very quickly.
True. I mean, and sometimes they don't go on for 2-3 minutes. They go on for 10 minutes about who they are. So that avoids that.
And that loses audience interest. You want them to go into the actionable insights of their presentation and, that inspiration. So I think that it just looks cool.
It does.
It does. And we use so much static imagery in conferencing, and I'm seeing it more now where there's a lot more maybe animated slide decks, in the sense like that background image is maybe moving and there's a little bit more movement. But I think adding that level of production value is so worth it.
I completely agree. I think it's just sometimes convincing
the business case
and the budget holders that we should spend a little bit on this video.
Yeah, because you need to bring in maybe a graphics designer, obviously a video editor. Have you got footage available? Is there anything, is it like the case I did with the bodyguard? Is it, we could just pull content from newspaper articles, or do you need something where you need to do some filming with them and, getting headshots of them and things like that? But I think it's something that could add to that attendee experience. And also, if you're in an industry where there's lots of events and you want to stand out, adding a little bit more to your production value is always worth it, I think. People remember that kind of stuff. Oh, do you remember the way they brought on their speakers like that? Or it's just the way to set the tone for the session, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think moving from videos onto songs, so you already know this, I had an event where every session was inspired by a song.
I mean, you had some bangers because they were, all the songs in their own right were bangers, but the session titles were fantastic. And I remember I think we actually had a team meeting where we just sat down and reviewed all of the songs that you used, and we just sat there and we went stream by stream. Okay, this is what we've picked. Or we had meetings where I can't find one and we're all sat there on Spotify or something.
Trying to find, I was like, there's not that many songs about green, to be honest. Noticed that. So I was like, well, the full scale of that is every walk on is that song. And that was kind of shut down, mainly because we would have to pay, I guess, the usage of the licensing of every single song, which, okay, fair enough, because there were 50 sessions, so that'd be a lot. Actually, but also sometimes it just depends on who you're working with. Sometimes our hosts or the editors or whatever, they don't feel as comfortable. Actually, I think one of the things that ruined it maybe for some hosts, or they think about, is we all think about Theresa May's Walk On.
Oh.
Do you remember that one where she's like, was it Mamma Mia? Or it was definitely an ABBA song.
It was an ABBA song.
It was an ABBA song.
Dancing Queen.
Dancing Queen.
She's a dancing queen.
I mean, I love it. The vibes. Funny. But...
as our Prime Minister...
vibes. Funny.
But the thing is, actually, no, it's such a double standard because, I mean, we all think about, I know he wasn't Prime Minister at the time, but he was Mayor of London, Boris Johnson zip-lining with the Union Jack flags.
That makes me cringe a little bit more than a little mom dance. But no one really, sometimes people don't want to have that moment.
No.
And so you end up just having your standard song that's like
royalty free.
Yeah.
But sometimes, I mean, there's lots of people that don't do anything. And then, but I also think as well that becomes a little bit awkward because you've got somebody walking up and you're hoping the audience will clap or something. They don't, you know,
it's so awkward when they don't.
They don't. And so we need to create the vibe and, you know, of the room.
When you're that solo clap in the back trying to get it.
It's usually me trying to convince the audience to start clapping because it's awkward otherwise. And then it fails the first time and you could try and attempt a second, but I don't want that embarrassment again. So when I've got my AV guys looking at me like, that didn't work, did it, Hayley? And no, it really didn't. So I think I'm not saying you have to do it for every stream. Because, I mean, we've both done events where maybe we have 5 streams and a main stage or even 10, 15 streams. And it does become expensive and it becomes more moving parts and it becomes more room for failure.
Yeah.
But I think your main stage,
definitely,
where that's the central presence of your brand and your event. And again, if we're looking at things like publishers and working with editors, then it definitely at that point, I think it stands to elevate the brand. But other events as well, like if that's where your main audience is going to be, it's worth investing in.
And I think as well, if we're wanting, so on our main stage, I think definitely. But I mean, me working in the sustainability space, right? So many times people are like, everyone already knows the science. Let's just delve into the conversations about the actions. And then it's like, well, does everyone actually know all the science? Because even I'm constantly finding out new things.
Yeah.
Gets a bit depressing. But I think that scene setting to some of the discussions can be important, but sometimes you don't want it to take 15 minutes out of the 35 minutes that you've got for the session. So recently I was actually discussing with a client about, well, why don't we just, you've got footage.
Yeah.
Why don't we do the scene setting at the start of the session with 2 minutes of this is what's happening, and that's already giving the context to the next discussion. So I do think it can be quite useful.
No, and it speeds it along, and it, like you said, it's taking that valuable time where we could continue to push the conversation. So much of sessions are spent scene setting because, I mean, I know you said like, they said there, oh, well, people know the science. Not everybody does. And you need to assume that not everybody does, or even if it's one person in the room, you need to make sure that everyone feels like they can be involved in that discussion and understand what's being said on a session by doing that scene setting. Sometimes breaking that down so much quicker by doing a 2-minute video where you put out the bullet points, you put out the headlines, and then you can move on. And you've then got more time to talk about the good stuff rather than just recapping everything that everyone's been saying for the last 3 years, maybe. Yeah. Or what was it? Or maybe a big release that's come out soon. So,
have you ever been involved in any of those videos?
Well, actually,
because I have. It made me no. I mean, so it was a scene setting to the whole event video.
Oh right.
And they asked me to be one of the voiceovers, and you've already seen how I am just listening to my voice here.
I mean, this is quite funny. So when I put out when we put out this podcast and the first episode, you haven't even listened to anything. So I'm involved in all the edits and like putting together maybe some social media clips.
Thank you, Hayley.
Because you cannot cope with it. Like, I think, what was it? What happened when you played the first episode?
Honestly, my body has a physical reaction where I'm like, nope. And I shut down.
You said, hi, I'm Jenny.
Yeah. But imagine, I hear that, hi, I'm Jenny, and I'm already like, nope. But so imagine that, but it's in a large venue and I'm just hearing my voice booming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so actually my one of that is when I've done Voice of God. And I hate hearing myself do voice of God, and especially when it's live, because then I kind of freak out because there's a delay as well, and then I get really caught up on it. And I've done it where I've recorded voice of God, and that's really fun. But then, hearing it back, I was like, oh God, is that how I say that word?
Yeah. So, but I completely agree. I think there is a shift. We're all also just so used to video content. I mean, on our phones, we're constantly, scrolling through clips and stuff like that. So I think finding a way of integrating what we all watch in our personal lives into like a professional event is quite good.
I think it's exciting. I really hope that other producers listen to this and then say, this is something that we should be doing. There's some really exciting opportunities just to elevate what we put out there. And it's how you can stand out in a busy market. So
yeah, I guess it's convincing those, again, budget holders to say yes.
So sometimes always comes back to that, doesn't it?
It always comes down to budget.
Yeah. But anyway, I think that's everything. So thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
See you next time.